Hi guys, I wanted to talk today about vitamin C. Now I didn't want to repeat the same material that's been talked about over and over again about how vitamin C is an important antioxidant. I wanted to go into a little bit more depth and look at vitamin C in a little bit more detail. And in particular, there's controversy surrounding how much vitamin C you need to take, and the reason I think this exists is because people don't really understand how antioxidants, particularly vitamin C, interacts with other compounds in the body. Now, if you eat a very high quality diet, if you eat a diet of very high in fruits and vegetables, you will be able to get about 600 milligrams a day of vitamin C in your diet. That's quite a considerable amount, and it would certainly do you no harm taking that amount of vitamin C. And I would suggest that that's a reasonable amount of vitamin C to take. But you can, if you take a supplement, increase your plasma levels higher. The plateau you don't really reach the plateau of vitamin C in your plasma until you take about 2,500 milligrams. That's 2.5 grams. You wouldn't really be able to get that from the diet. You would need to take supplements in order to be able to get that level of vitamin C. So we can get to about 600 milligrams in our diet, and if we take about 2,500 milligrams, we can actually increase plasma levels further. So the controversy exists of how much vitamin C do you actually need and what's actually an effective plasma level of vitamin C. Now, scurvy is the deficiency disease of vitamin C, and a lot of people in Western nations, in developed nations who have poor diets, don't actually get a lot of vitamin C in their diet, but people don't get scurvy. And so a lot of people turn around and say, well, this is evidence that you don't need all this vitamin C. But the first thing to point out is there's a difference between not getting scurvy and being healthy. Health is not an absence of disease, it's something positive. So really, saying that you haven't got scurvy or haven't got a deficiency disease doesn't mean that you have enough vitamin C. Health is always something that's positive, not an absence of the negative. So that's the first point I would make. The second thing I want to talk about, really, and the second main point, is that vitamin C interacts with other nutrients in the body, and therefore your requirement for vitamin C will depend on other nutrients that you have in your diet. Antioxidants all interact with each other. I will put up a diagram now that is available on my blog. It was in an article I wrote called the Antioxidant Merry-Go-Round, and it shows how antioxidants recycle one another. And if we look at this diagram, we can see that the main antioxidants in the cellular system, we have glutathione, we've got lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, there's vitamin E, vitamin C, and then we have some amino acids, we have cysteine, there's glutamate and glycine. All of these compounds are interacting, and as one antioxidant becomes a radical itself, it's then recycled to become an antioxidant again by another antioxidant, which itself becomes a radical, and that itself is then recycled by another antioxidant, which itself becomes a radical. So if we have a look at vitamin C interacts with glutathione, and it interacts with vitamin E. And it will obviously interact with other antioxidants as well, because this is a simplified schematic. But if, for example, we look at glutathione, which is the main endogenously produced and very important antioxidant, water-soluble antioxidant in cells, when the reduced form of glutathione, that's the GSH version, which you can see on the diagram, when that becomes oxidized, it becomes the GSSG version of glutathione. That can actually be recycled back to the reduced form of glutathione by vitamin C. And so vitamin C actually recycles glutathione, and it keeps high intakes of vitamin C will keep high levels of glutathione in the cell. And studies have actually looked at the best ways to increase glutathione levels in the cell, and taking glutathione itself is not the best way. Studies have found that if you take vitamin C, you can increase glutathione levels in the cell significantly more than if you take glutathione itself. And that's simply because glutathione is not well absorbed. Vitamin C is well absorbed, and when vitamin C is absorbed, it then goes into the tissues, and it spares the glutathione, the reduced glutathione, because it's able to recycle it back to its reduced form. So these interactions are very important. Let's take, for example, flavonoids. Flavonoids are an important dietary antioxidant in humans. And if we have high levels of flavonoids, you might expect that you need lower levels of antioxidants. And I would say that's possibly true. If you have high levels of flavonoids in your diet, those flavonoids are going to act as antioxidants in your tissues, and that means there is not such a high requirement for vitamin C, because the amount of radicals that would be there would be reduced, and therefore your vitamin C levels would actually increase based on the fact that your vitamin C wasn't being oxidized. So you have to take into account the other foods that you're eating. Somebody with a very high quality fruit and vegetable diet may only be getting 600 milligrams of vitamin C, but they'll also be getting large quantities of other antioxidants, which will mean that in reality that 600 milligrams is a larger amount of vitamin C than if you'd have taken that vitamin C in isolation. So really what we should be looking at is total antioxidant intake, not simple calculations of single antioxidants. And this is never really done in research. Research is very good at looking at individual compounds, and this has come from pharmacology, where there is an obsession with individual magic bullets and their effects on cells. And the body is much cleverer than that. All these compounds work together. And the antioxidants in particular recycle one another, and therefore there is a large amount of antioxidant synergism. So I would encourage you to read my article, The Antioxidant Merry-Go-Round, just to get an overview of how these antioxidants interact, and I'll put the link to that article in the comments box below this video. So if we go back to our original question, do you need 2,500 milligrams of vitamin C? Well, yeah, 2,500 milligrams of vitamin C is about the amount you need to saturate your plasma with vitamin C, but that doesn't take into account the other antioxidants that you have or you may have in your diet. So really it's impossible to say how much vitamin C you need, because you have to analyse the other antioxidants that you have in your diet. Another thing about vitamin C is that vitamin C, as plasma levels of vitamin C go up, your uric acid levels go down. A lot of studies have looked at the association between vitamin C and uric acid. Now, uric acid, although when levels are very high you can get gout, uric acid does crystallize in joints and cause gout. Uric acid is actually one of the most important water-soluble antioxidants in your plasma. And there's a very clever system here, because as your vitamin C levels go up, your uric acid levels go down. And the reason that this happens is likely because the vitamin C may saturate the transporters in the nephrons of the kidneys, and that causes an increased excretion of uric acid. So you can take vitamin C to decrease your uric acid levels, but if we look at it from an antioxidant point of view, as your vitamin C levels go up, your uric acid levels go down. As your vitamin C levels go down, your uric acid levels go up. Now, because uric acid is a very important antioxidant, if your vitamin C levels go down, you counter that effect in your plasma by increasing your uric acid levels. So your vitamin C and uric acid are always inversely correlated, and that is another way that your body is able to maintain its antioxidant status in spite of even in the face of low intakes of vitamin C. So I found another paper that was quite interesting as well, that is on this kind of subject, and it was to do with the vitamin C plasma levels and leukocyte levels of vitamin C in members of the Masai tribe in Kenya. And this study, and again I'll put the link to this paper in the comments box below, so you can have a read of it, and there is a nice graph that you can have a look at, and I'll bring that up on the screen now. If we have a look at this graph, what we see is that the Maasai have much lower levels of vitamin C in their plasma and in their leukocytes than another tribe that was taken as a control. Now, this other tribe, the Bantu tribe, eats a more mixed diet. The Maasai are known for eating very small amounts of plant foods. They eat mainly meat, milk, and blood, because they're nomadic tribesmen. They have herds of goats, and they use these goats mainly as their main source of food, and they do supplement their diets with other things as well, but generally they eat a meat, milk and blood diet, and that, as you would expect from that, they have quite low levels of vitamin C in their diet. In fact, if you look at the analysis of the vitamin C levels in this paper, showed that the vitamin C was actually dangerously low, to a level that you might expect them to develop scurvy, or you might expect them, for example, to have problems with their hemoglobin. But the researchers said there was no evidence of anemia and there was no evidence of scurvy in any of the individuals that they looked at, and they were all very healthy. So they have dangerously low levels of vitamin C yet are completely healthy, and I would suggest that this is more evidence that taking single compounds in isolation to try and anticipate health is quite difficult, because you have to take into account other things that people eat. And this is really what I've been trying to pass on to my my subscribers for some time, is that diet is very complex. You can't really take individual compounds and expect effects. You always have to take into account the diet as a whole, and this is why I always try to refer to a good way to eat as be eating a healthy, high quality diet. I don't try and push really individual compounds. I'm trying to hopefully make people understand that diet as a whole is the most important thing. And if your vitamin C levels are only at 600 milligrams and somebody else is taking supplements and their intake is 2,500 milligrams, it doesn't necessarily mean that they've got a better antioxidant status than yourself, because you have to take into account the diet as a whole. And vitamin C is a very good example of that. The actual amount of vitamin C that's required by a person is almost impossible to predict. And it's almost impossible to predict at what level scurvy will develop unless you know that there's no other antioxidants in the diet, and that's very unusual. Clearly the Masai in this example have other antioxidants in their diet. They have other ways of protecting their body from the effects of scurvy, and the small amounts of vitamin C that they do get are clearly supplemented and protected by other antioxidants, and therefore they are actually their requirement is not as high as maybe it should be. So I thought this was interesting. So if you want to have a look at my article on the antioxidant merry-go-round, and if you want to have a quick look at this paper on the Maasai, I think they're quite interesting. They do nicely illustrate the difficulty in predicting the amount of vitamin C you need. As a recommendation at the end of this video, do you need supplements of vitamin C? If you're eating a very high quality diet, it's got lots of fruits and vegetables in it, I doubt you would need supplemental vitamin C to be healthy. Times that you may want to take extra vitamin C, up to maybe 3 grams a day, or maybe even more than that, would be times when you think you might be getting an infection or particularly stressed. Your requirement for vitamin C does increase dramatically when you're under stress, particularly when your immune system is under stress. If you feel like you're getting a cold, or a lot of people around you have got a cold, particularly this time of year, there's a lot of colds around, I would boost your vitamin C intake with supplements. That's particularly important if you are ill, or you feel like you are getting ill. If you feel like you run down and you're getting run down, take some supplements of vitamin C. In the summer, when you're when the sun's out and you're feeling very healthy, you probably don't need extra vitamin C in your diet. If, as a blanket recommendation, if you want to make sure that you do have enough vitamin C in your diet, 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, possibly divided throughout the day, would probably suffice for most people during normal times when their immune system is not being stressed. And obviously, not everybody can eat a good high quality diet all the time. There are times for everybody, even those people that try the hardest, when they can't get fruits and vegetables in their diet for some reason or another. Maybe you're staying away from home, maybe you're travelling, and in that case supplements are very useful to be able to make sure that your plasma levels of vitamin C stay where they need to be. So it's very difficult to make recommendations, but you can use vitamin C supplements carefully. You can maintain your vitamin C levels. So I wouldn't say they're essential, but I would say they're very useful, and I would always keep vitamin C in the house for those times when you don't think you're getting enough in your diet, or perhaps when you think you need slightly more, particularly when you're getting an infection. So I hope that was useful. If you've got any comments on this, or if you've got any questions, please leave in the comments box below, and as always, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, and I'll see you next week for another video. Take care.